Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Testing Tricks. So today I would like to explain about a defect density part. Okay, so what is defect density? So using this defect density we can measure the software quality. Okay, so the definition would be we can measure the okay. So using defect density we can measure the quality of the software application. But how can we measure the quality of the software application? So that will be defined by one formula. So the formula will be total number of defects divided by size of the code base. So how many defects you are finding on that particular module divided by size of the code base means suppose to implement that particular module developer has written 1,000 lines of code. Okay, so that particular number you have to put it here. So before that I'll explain klog part. Okay, what do you mean by klog? Klog means lines of code. So one klog means 1,000 lines of code. So suppose there are modules which they have developed, so for that they have written around 20,000 lines. They have written 20,000 lines of code. Okay, but after that when QA team is testing, they have found around 40 defects on that particular module. I'm just giving one example. Okay, so the formula, if you put that the numbers in this formula, so according to that 40 defects we have found divided by 20,000 lines of code they have written for that particular module, right? To implement that particular module they have written 20,000 lines of code, and total 40 defects you have found on that particular module. So what would be the defect density for that particular module? Then 40 divided by 20. As we know, 1 klog is 1,000 lines of code. So 20 klog means 20,000 lines of code. Okay, so 20 klog means 20,000 lines of code, right? So 40 divided by 20, so the defect density will be coming around 2. So the 2 defect density for that particular module. So in this way we can identify the defect density for the other modules also. Okay, so that is a simple formula. Total number of defects which you are finding divided by size of the code base. Size of the code base means the number of lines or number of lines of code which developer has written to implement that particular module. So I'm considering, suppose they have written 20,000 lines of code and we got 40 defects. So 40 divided by 20. So the defect density for the first module would be 2. Okay. So now if we consider like what would be the standard, whether it is good or bad, right? So the standard is one defect for 1,000 lines of code. So if they have developed 1,000 lines of code to implement one of the module, and after that if QA team is testing that particular module, in that case we should find at one defect, not more than that. If we find more than one defect, that means they have to improve the code quality. So that is the standard. Okay, so now how can we improve the code quality? For that we have to follow the few process. First process would be code review with peers. Suppose I have developed this particular module and I, according to me, everything is fine, right? I don't know where is the fault. So that is why what I'll do, I'll connect with my colleague, and colleague will review my code which I have developed. And if there are any changes required, or if is suggesting that no, we have to add these lines of code also in your existing code, please add that. So that particular code also I'll add it. Okay, so that is the first steps. First we have to do code review with peers. Now second part is code review with software architect. As you know, software architects, they know the entire software application very well. So it's better after peer review, we have to connect with the software architect also. He will also review and he'll give some suggestions, right? So that suggestions also will incorporate. Okay, so we have already incorporated all the changes from peers and also from architects. So those part are done. We all are set, right? Now third point is unit testing with positive and negative scenarios. That is also very required. Okay, it is really very much needed nowadays. Many developers I saw, they have not done proper unit testing. They have just implemented, they have done some code reviews with peers, and after that, without doing any unit testing, they are giving to a QA team, and QA guys are finding lot of defects. Okay, so we have to do unit testing also. All the changes are done, all the reviewing parties all are done, right? So that is fine, but after that we have to test our code with all the positive and negative scenarios. If you want, you can include testers also here, that please give your scenarios also, so that I can check my code with your scenarios, because anyhow testers will check those scenarios, right? After once they are giving that particular code to the QA team, so QA team is always ready with the test cases. So it's better if developer will consult with the testers, and they should take those scenarios before giving it to the QA team for the testing. It's better in at the time of unit testing, they all should connect and they should check those scenarios which testers are planning to test for that particular module. Those scenarios also, if they will check in the unit testing stage. Once it is done, then they can give the entire module to the QA team for the final testing. So this is the final stage where developer should concentrate. Okay, so unit testing they should do with their scenarios. Also, they should involve testers as well, so that the number of defects we can reduce at the time of final testing. Okay, so this is the process or steps. If we follow, then 100%, I'm 100% sure it will reduce the number of defects, and also it will improve the quality of the product if we follow the same strategy for all the modules. Okay, because this is the standard, one defect for 1000 lines of code. If we get more than that, that means our quality is not good. Okay, so that is all about the defect density. So through defect density, we are mainly measuring the quality of the software application. The formula would be total number of defect divided by size of the code base. Size of the code base means it's klog. We are identifying with klog, means lines of code, number of lines of code. So so 1 klog is equal to 1000 lines of code. So in this example, I've given 20 klog, means 20,000 lines we have written for that particular module. Okay, so 40 by 20, 2 is the defect density for that particular module. So in this way, we can uh, identify the defect density for all the modules in this particular software application. and the standard would be always one defect for 1000 lines of code. If it is violating this rule, or if keyword system is getting more than one defect, then that case we have to improve the code quality. So how can we increase the code quality? By doing proper code review with the peers. Second is code review with the software architect, and third is most important, that is the unit testing with positive and negative scenarios. And also please involve the testers in this stage, so that you can check the testers scenarios also at in this stage. If we follow this process, I'm 100% sure it will reduce the number of defects, and it will improve the quality of our product, and at the end of the day client will be obviously happy. Okay, so yeah, so that is all from my side today. I hope it is clear for everyone. Thank you so much.